All right, welcome to the latest edition of the FPL America podcast. This is David Smith.
Travis Hoig.
Brian Shesko.
Gentlemen, I have been going nonstop today. Not that anyone cares. I had work today, and then right when I got home, I had to get home from work early because we had I coached a basketball game today. We won 34-5.
Nice.
It was 17-0 after the first quarter, so we pulled the brakes.
All right.
And got everyone some good playing time. Girls had a great performance. It was awesome. So raced then right to a school fundraiser function.
Okay.
The name of it was Channel Your Flannel, hence my flannel shirt. And then left out of there right at the end before it was over, came right here to podcasting. So I have been going nonstop. I raced home quickly to get my computer, which I had forgotten. And our dog, is a busy day at the house. No one walked it. And our 1-year-old dog decided that, well, here's the thing. When you leave things on the floor, she's pretty good about not chewing things. She's out of the puppy stage. But the house wasn't exactly in the greatest shape as today, last couple of days have been super busy.
Happens.
And she chewed up the computer charger because it was left on the floor.
Yikes.
Not by me.
They're big tooth marks. I think it could be that your cats have big teeth.
Not by me, Brian. The cats are famous. I noticed today in our room, one of the cats, which the cats have chewed multiple cords, chewed. I don't know if it's my wife's straightener, curler, or blow dryer. One of them now has a non-existent, non-working cord.
Wait, you were hoping
it has a cord.
You were
so
hoping
it technically exists.
You were hoping for a Christmas vacation scenario there. The cat chewing. Have you seen Christmas?
No, yeah.
I'm about to say something that could be easily controversial. I'm not scared to say controversial things.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's hear it.
We had a cat. I probably talked about it in the pod last year.
Yeah.
It was awesome. The cat was kind of acted like a dog. The cat was absolutely the perfect cat. Indoor, outdoor cat. When the cat passed, when it met its end in the road that is our street, to console the girls about a month later, we got two cats, one for each, brothers, and these two are psychos. Now, they're not dumb cats because they figured out how to turn my hall bath sink on. The problem is they don't turn it off. So they'll turn it on to drink water from it, even though they have water.
That's hilarious.
But they want to get the fresh water coming out of the sink. And somehow one of them figured it out.
Kids.
The gray one figured it out first. And then the white one now, I've seen the white one hop up there, and the white one has seen the gray one do it, and now the white one knows how to do it. But they don't turn it off. If they turned it off, it wouldn't be a problem. But they leave it on, and then it splatters on the floor and causes a mess. So now we have to make sure the bathroom door is always closed so the cats don't go in there.
Those inconsiderate a-holes.
Not to mention these a-holes chew they one of them, the white one, chews quartz. Like, I am so done with these cats. I am not anti-cat. I'm anti these two cats.
Yeah.
These two brothers are pains in my butt. And I'm ready to, I hope every day that one of them meets their end in our road. And I know how.
That is your street.
That's our street. I know how bad that sounds. But I'm telling you, I'm not anti-cat. I am anti these two cats.
You bought the cat.
I have told my family I want to get rid of them. They're still here. So maybe I just need to take them one day to the Humane Society and say, hey, these are decent cats, but they're not for me.
I see.
I don't know that would go over well.
No, it wouldn't. Even at the Humane Society, you'd be ostracized.
I was going to say
So
minimum of browbeating.
Yeah. So what I'm trying to figure out is these cats chew on something that is your wife's, and you don't like them. Your dog chews on something that is yours. Yeah, you're fine with it. It's very clear where your allegiances lie here.
So the dog, the chargers were left on the floor. Again, not by me.
Hey, were those cords on the floor?
Yes.
I'm just saying. Hey,
but
cats will be cats.
True.
I don't like cats either, but just saying.
If you had Wales the cat, you would have loved Wales the cat. Wales the cat was a cool cat. Anyways, all right, we're not here to talk about cats or dogs.
No, we are here to talk about middle school girls basketball.
Hey, listen, we could talk about that. Don't get me started. We got a fun game coming up against Brian's daughter's team this coming Monday.
Oh, that's this Monday?
Mentally and emotionally
this
prepare
coming
her
Monday,
for the slaughter rule.
My girls went to school with Brian's girls for many, many years, and the last 2 years they've been at a different school, and so we are playing them this week. So this should be friends on friends here. Really, they've been raised like cousins, let's be honest.
Yeah,
and
true.
so they
your daughter's a lot close. Like Maddie Cash, right? Like plays
or Alex Moreno.
Yeah, of course. So next week we will talk about the middle school girls duel between the Patriots and the Griffins.
Middle daughter, more like Moreno. Youngest daughter plays a lot like Harvey Barnes. So that's the way we tried to gear him.
I love it. All right, Travis.
Always injured.
Travis, throw our schedule up there. Let's let the people know what we're going to be doing. Brian, what are we going to be doing?
Whoa, geez. Game week 23 is coming up. Game week 22 ended.
Right.
So the last we
missed one.
Yeah, we weren't able to talk about 22 because it was too close to when we potted.
Yeah.
And so we did discuss 21 a little bit. Obviously, we don't typically discuss individual games, although we typically reference them.
Yeah.
So
we don't typically do anything other than be mediocre.
I said typically too many times in two different sentences.
Typically, we'll talk about all kinds of things. But what we're going to talk about tonight is game week 23. Really, the first and most important thing, I think, because planning is what seems to be really on everybody's minds now, is that there's a double game week for Everton and Liverpool in game week 24. So I feel like it's worth it. Right now, just based on what the people are doing, there's a lot of preparation already underway for the double based on the transfers. So I think it's worth it.
Other than having 3 Liverpool people, my early prognosis here is it worth anything else?
We'll talk about that. And so that's why the first thing on the menu is
double stuffed.
That's how they spell it too.
By the way, have you guys paid attention to the fact that you buy a double stuffed Oreo? I feel like it's got the same amount of filling that the original used to have. The double stuffed doesn't look double stuffed anymore. I think there's some weird kind of Oreo stuffing.
Are they getting smaller or your hands getting bigger?
I already have large hands, but I'm just saying it's a fair point, Travis, and I don't deny that. I'm telling you, go get a double stuffed, and you're like, it sure looks like an original.
Yeah.
Hey, did you notice that they now have double stuffed gluten-free?
Oh, no. So, double stuffed gluten-free. I do. And by the way, I actually think that the gluten-free Oreos and/or now double stuffed Oreos, which I have not had, are better than the originals.
I thought you were crazy. I think I've
said that before, right?
Yeah, you introduced me to them.
Okay. Oh.
And I scoffed so heavily. I tried one. I'm a convert.
Yeah, I don't know why they're better.
I don't know why you would buy anything else. They're so good.
Yeah.
They're like crispy.
Yeah, no, they're fantastic.
There was it was a Premier League video where they asked the footballers, a series of footballers, how they eat their Oreos, and not one of them answered correctly. Every single one of them.
I know what you will say. I have a feeling I know what you will say.
Shove it in your mouth.
No, every single one of them, because everyone does do you twist the thing off? Do you eat the same? I know there's some people want to
top off or the bottom
right.
off.
Or you save the icing. I know some people want to eat just the icing. Of course, they might even toss the cookie away.
What kind of animals do that?
I think, Brian, can I prognosticate?
Yeah.
Because I feel like you are an Oreo professional.
Yeah.
I think you're going to say you get a fork.
First of all, definitively the minimum you need is the double stuff.
Right.
I don't know who's bothering with regular Oreo.
Well, they don't make double stuff mint Oreos.
No, I'm saying. Well, I guess what I'm saying is non-flavored. If you're talking about regular standard Oreo, I don't know why you're eating a regular Oreo.
Right.
There should be just as many on the shelf of double stuff as there are regular, but it's not like that.
Sure.
Okay.
And of course, anyone who's eating
minimum
Oreo
is double stuff.
You better have a cup of milk with you.
Yeah, I don't know why you're not.
I think I should go understood. It better be a cup of milk. But Brian, I think what you're going to say, because I think you might have said this on this podcast before,
maybe
years ago, is you take a fork, you stick it into the double stuff,
Yeah.
Then you stick the fork into the glass of milk.
You can dunk the entire
until
cookie.
It stops bubbling, right?
And you can dunk the whole cookie in the milk.
I think that's when you're drowning something.
Then you pull it out.
And then you can eat the whole thing with a fork. You can,
Soaked
first
in
of all,
milk.
you can eat the entire cookie. Second of all, no milky finger.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. That's
the correct way of eating them is
That's
that.
what I thought. That's what I thought.
You will go out of your way to avoid milky fingers.
Last thing, Brian. Last thing on Oreos. I swear on my life.
I would eat chips with a fork to avoid chip hand.
Chip finger.
So you've
Dorito,
never
pointy finger, and thumb.
You've never consumed Cheetos, I guess, right?
No.
Is that what you're saying?
I drink the bag. I'm serious. I'll take the bag and drink it. I know you got to be careful. But what I'm saying is,
potting is just orange.
No, I mean you just got you get a nice wedge.
Yeah, sure.
Filter it closer, and then you just. No, I just don't want. Like I don't want messy hands. That's just the way it is. I mean, there's some things you can't avoid. If you're eating tacos, if you're eating a burger or something like that, you got to get both hands. You got to get a good
gloves.
I would. Those food preparation gloves. A lot of those at home.
Right.
What
are you doing there? You going into surgery?
Over the last 5-6 years, Oreo started making all kinds of flavors.
Yeah.
Tell everyone that if they see a flavor that's out there, which we haven't seen in a long time.
It's been a while.
If they ever bring this flavor back, Brian, tell everyone what is, and you are a Oreo connoisseur.
Interesting.
Tell everyone what the flavor is if they see it that they must get.
I want cookie dough Oreos to be a standard production Oreo.
Interesting.
So
I have never seen those.
And that's exactly it. They made them. It was like a limited run.
It was
They'll do these limited run flavors.
Yep.
What's the Post Malone flavor? Do you know? Because they just.
You're kidding me.
I'm dead serious. They have a Post Malone flavor.
I don't know.
I wonder if it's cookie dough. Cookie dough and sadness.
Hold on, but it's cookie dough. Cookie.
So it's
with.
They used to make. So they did it a couple times as a limited run.
They
did
cookies cookie dough.
Hold on.
They did cookie dough by itself, just cookie dough flavor. Which to me, I'm like, cookie dough is like such a standard flavor of all kinds of things. Why isn't there just and it fits cookie dough? The cookie dough in the Oreo cookie makes sense. And then for also limited run, they did a brookie, like the cookie brownie cookie, right?
I hear you.
Layer of chocolate icing, a layer of cookie dough icing, and then a layer of there was some other.
The third layer?
There was 3 layers of icing in the brookie.
Layers?
Yeah. It was amazing. Another one that it should if that was just on the shelf all the time.
It would be gone.
Yeah.
You'd probably be dead from cholesterol.
Exactly.
Maybe.
But every time it's like, oh, they did cherry Peep flavor or whatever. I'm like, who's eating that?
I think there was a Peep something.
Right.
Or
They do it all the time.
That's
why
Peeps are the worst thing ever. My dad loves Peeps. I like one of my kids.
Peeps.
Do you love Peeps too?
I don't love them. I'll eat them though.
Oh,
I like them.
marshmallows.
Do you sit them out and let them get crunchy?
I like a stale Peep. Yeah.
My dad loves stale Peeps. What's wrong? Any Peeps are bad. Stale Peeps are even worse.
Get a little air on them and let them crisp up. Game week 20. Right. Game week 23.
Thank you. Let's rein this.
Look, game week 23 is important, but I think it's good for Liverpool because you get the Ipswich bonus in game week 23. You get that in addition. Travis, how is Liverpool's fixture congestion?
I don't think it matters
for you. I was going to say that. Do you feel like first place in the league is just going to be the thing that matters most until title is secured?
I don't think the fixture pileup is going to be an issue until. I'm not going to say if. I'm going to say until Van Dijk gets injured.
Okay.
Then it'll matter. But until then, I think it's
Is he your most important player?
Yeah, I think so. We've survived without Alisson. We survived without Salah. We had to last with the Cup of Nations. No, just in general. I think Van Dijk is the key to that. So ultimately, 1, I hope he signs a new contract, and 2, I hope that he stays fit. Because if he stays fit, I think they have a chance of staying number one, and the fixture pileup doesn't matter because you can put anybody with him in defense.
Oh, true.
And he makes them better, right?
Right.
Gomez is a couple weeks away, but Kwanzaa's been fine. And Konate's back. It seems like he needs a little bit of match fitness, but he's back. So I think we're in a good place for congestion to come up, and we will be fine. I don't think it matters.
Ipswich. So obviously you come back against Lille. You did come back, right? Or were you leading?
No,
then it was 1-1, and then you came back to win.
Lille got a goal with 10 men.
Right. It was 1-1, and then you won 2-1.
Yep.
Ipswich, and then you're at PSV on Tuesday.
This again doesn't really matter, so I expect that they will probably play an alternative lineup there. So then we can get top spot, but I don't think that matters from the draw perspective. We just need to be we're guaranteed top
need
2.
To finish
so even if we lose
the top 8 really is all.
But we're guaranteed top 2. Even if we lose that match, I think we're still gonna we would finish 2. But I think it. Yeah. Anyways, all that to say, I don't think that match is going to be that big of a deal.
Okay.
The only person I think that probably will get minutes in that is Cody Gakpo because they like to play people against their former clubs. So
okay, and then you're at Bournemouth Saturday, then back-to-back cup matches, which those do matter.
Yeah,
especially the second leg against Tottenham, and then
that one is. I think those are the two matches that are going to matter the most to the team. But I think Bournemouth is probably going to be the toughest out of those 3, right?
Maybe the rotation would be at home against Wolves 4 days after Everton, because then Manchester City and Newcastle are on February 22nd and 25th. That's a kind of a pile there if you're going to talk about piles. Those 2 games back to back. But
again, fixture pileups only matter if you only have one lineup or you're dealing with injuries.
Okay,
right? As it stands today, pretty much everybody is coming back. We've got a couple that are still out. Which is honestly not that huge of a deal. But Harvey Elliott is coming into a decent vein of form, scored at Lille, a heavily deflected, but it was a good shot. So I think we have the depth, the squad depth, and the form with the squad depth because of the way that we've rotated to be able to cope with a fixture pileup.
Bournemouth, and then Everton. I can't tell if this is good or bad necessarily for Liverpool.
I don't like Everton. That Everton match is going to be interesting.
That game is always close.
Yeah, Moyes is also very good at managing the Merseyside derby, so I'm a little bit worried about that one.
2 things. One, Liverpool have scored 30 goals in their away games, which is 10 more, which is in 10 games, and then 20 goals at home. So they've actually scored more goals in away games than home games.
Also been behind, I think, more in away games than home
conceded
games.
12 goals in away games compared to 8 goals conceded at home.
Yeah, I think that speaks a little bit to it as well. We're conceding away, and therefore we're more aggressive.
Second thing, for what it's worth, these stats courtesy of fbref.com.
Yeah, nice.
Great site. Bournemouth is number 1 in goals against in home games this season. They've conceded 7 goals at home, which is better than Liverpool and Arsenal.
So you're saying Chris Wood's not going to score this week?
If it's at Bournemouth.
It's at Bournemouth.
Then there's a likelihood.
He may not.
Chris Wood always scores.
You going to move him to the bench?
But
that's an interesting stat. I mean, Chris Wood, this is a Chris Wood coming off the last 4 matches, 12, 8, 9, 12.
They're expected. I wish this was a Chris Wood segment.
It is.
It is a Bournemouth segment.
He's double stuffed.
Bournemouth is tied for 8th worst for their expected goals allowed at home. So they are massively overperforming their XG against when they're at home. So they've conceded 7. Their XG allowed is 19.4. I mean,
Fortress.
massive.
Guys diving in front of
luck
shots.
Everton is 6th best in goals against in home games. They've conceded 13 goals. They've actually been both
Liverpool
pretty good
games are
home and away.
And again, we're talking about not this week. We're talking about match week 24.
I'm talking about I'm
the
saying
double stuffed.
Next week, game week 23, your Ipswich and your
Target.
The reason, absolutely, you are going
at home.
Triple Liverpool is absolutely
triple captain
for 23 and 24 for sure. Yeah.
So
triple captain Salah.
Well, and that's the question. Maybe not this week, but maybe the following week wouldn't be terrible, even though Bournemouth is tough.
Not with the stats that Brian just gave.
That's the question. Is that enough to take the player you know is going to be playing in both those matches and not triple captain them?
Right. So I guess the first question, as far as who you're picking at all, would just be: is there any reason to pick a differential Liverpool player? I think the standard options, and we talked about it before. I think Luis Diaz is still most owned. If he's not in the top 5, he's still close. But
Darwin's goals change his opportunities as well. With Cody Gakpo still scoring, he's going to start contending on the left again because Darwin is probably going to get some chances.
Okay.
Diaz has become a little bit less effective in the 9 up top.
How about Gakpo?
Well, so that's what I was going to say.
Would be a more interesting
just
one.
The standard. I mean, obviously Salah, Diaz by ownership, Trent by influence, and Virgil by stability. I mean, I think those are the 4. I would call those the most standard. Gakpo is a top 2. I mean, other than Wood, I think Gakpo's second most transferred in.
Really?
This game week. There's no reason why he wouldn't start. He didn't play at all against Lille.
Yeah.
So I don't see why he would. Is there a reason why he wouldn't start against Ipswich? I mean, he started every game since game week 12.
No, at this point, the only reason why they would hold him is if they wanted to play Chiesa to get him minutes, and they felt like this was a good match to do it. And I wouldn't put it past Slot to do that simply because he has intentionally talked about utilizing players against the likes of Southampton, which unfortunately for Ipswich are kind of in that category.
Yeah, for sure.
So I wouldn't be surprised if he put guys in there that need minutes and confidence against a team that he's expecting to be able to overpower, which is a cocky thing to say, but truth is, from a tactical standpoint, if he feels like there's enough to exploit, I wouldn't be surprised if Chiesa ended up on the left. He did play on the left against Lille.
Started a game?
You know what? I honestly don't know. I don't know if he started.
If only there was a way. I keep forgetting that guy. I was told so much about this guy. This guy's going to be amazing. My brother was going waxing on and on about Chiesa. No, he hasn't started a match.
Yeah,
he's gotten a total of 21 minutes the entire season.
He keeps being injured, right?
Injured and sickness has been the issue. He's caught every bug.
Get him some Tamiflu.
Every bug in England.
Any desire for Allison, or you just say forget that? As you'd rather have Pickford if you were picking a single goalkeeper for the double game week.
Yeah, I don't know about.
How confident are you? We can talk about once we get to the other defensive options. I guess that a lot of that depends on how confident you are in clean sheets.
I'm not very confident in clean sheets. We've been very, very loose. It does seem like we've had some issues with Konate out. Spacing, especially on the right-hand side, has been an issue that's been discussed pretty heavily, where basically the right-sided central defender is too far away from Trent, and it's opening up too much space, and then therefore they have to, recover more quickly, and they're not when oppositions target that open space, and so they've worked a lot on that and spoken a lot about that. I think Konate was an early before he got injured was part of the problem. And in coming back from injuries, I think it's something they worked on with him as part of his fitness routine, coming back into fitness. So all that to say, clean sheets are not a given with Liverpool, like City has been in the past. They're always good for a garbage goal. Yeah, out of nowhere. Yeah. So I don't know that clean sheets make a whole lot of sense. I'm still, and this doesn't matter because I suck at this game, I'm still target the possibility of a clean sheet, but more importantly, the possibility of multiple saves.
Oh, okay.
Right? So a defense that's going to face a lot of shots is not necessarily a bad thing so long as your keeper's going to stop them all.
Okay.
Right?
Oh, yeah, sometimes Pickford's good for that.
Pickford has been.
He's best when he faces a ton of shots.
I agree with that. And the crazy part is that is absolutely true. But then they went on that crazy run of like 8 games with clean sheets, which was insanity. Right. Nobody could understand it.
Right.
So he got the benefit of that. So I don't hate the idea of pulling Pickford.
Yeah.
I don't hate that.
They honestly, I mean,
all right, real quick. I was
going to say
for the Everton because they're playing. They have 2 home games in this double. They're playing Liverpool. They're playing Leicester and Liverpool.
Right.
Which in match week 24.
I don't. Again, that's not a reason to run away from them.
Right. Well, no, I was going to say like there's still just for the Liverpool wrap.
Those are good matchups.
The first aside on it is: would you captain or triple captain if you still have it? Would you triple captain Salah in this double game week? My vote is no, because I think Liverpool have another double later, which will include Leicester at home, which is a better matchup.
I don't like the Bournemouth match, and I don't like where we are right now against Everton. We don't have a good history with that, so I don't expect those matches to be blowouts in either direction, and that's what you want with a triple cap.
With a triple cap, you're right. I agree.
FPL Osama, Osama on X. Raises this point: Salah playing 90 minutes versus Lille and playing Ipswich at home next Saturday. He says, I think I'm not captaining Salah this week.
That's kind of bold.
Yeah.
Agreed.
I was looking at that and I'm thinking, that's a no-brainer.
Right. I think it will be the no-brainer for everyone, and I guess that's the question. So triple capped. I've seen the suggestion of triple captaining him against Ipswich because Ipswich is so bad.
Yeah.
That honestly, one game against Ipswich might be better than 2 games away against Bournemouth and Everton.
Sure.
So it's not insane, but I guess that's the question of like, does that matter? Minutes seems like he's been immune to there's kind of impervious to the number of minutes that he's playing.
It's been said a lot of different times of Salah that he's the type of player that actually, for lack of a better way of saying it, is harmed by rest. He needs to play. Mm-hmm. To stay fit, he needs to play.
Yeah.
To stay on form, he needs to play. So if he's healthy and he's got the fitness, I think he's going to do everything in his power to play and to ensure that he's
in a golden boot race.
Oh, yeah.
With Isak, probably. Anyway,
yeah,
is there any way we could actually get a Premier League goal update? In other words, like
he's
like you don't want to forfeit a chance to playing Ipswich at home.
Yeah, he's got to be leading that, right?
Yeah, I would say
18.
for sure.
Yeah, he's on 18. Holland's on 17. Isak's on 15.
Okay, all right.
So he's still leading that.
Right, but it's tight.
He wants records like that, so I can see that.
It's his last Liverpool season. If he's going to play every last,
absolutely,
give every last bit that he's got.
And he needs a head start for when Marmoush starts scoring for City. He needs to make sure he's got enough goals of padding so that Marmoush can catch him.
More people buying Marmoush this week than Holland, which is kind of funny.
Wow.
So I guess that's the question. I think probably still I'm not concerned in a way where I'm not captaining Salah. I think it's too obvious of a choice.
Home captain against, because the alternative I think is probably most likely Isak against Southampton and away to Southampton, and you like a home captain.
Yeah. The crazy choices for Liverpool, I think you can probably I don't know if anyone was even thinking about Darwin at all prior to a brace against Brentford.
Darwin's not thinking about Darwin.
Why would you even consider someone who played 50 minutes total in the last 5 games, though? So I guess that's the question. Is there any other reason to think about Darwin?
He's such a freaking no. There isn't. No, to be clear, no, there isn't. He's such a freaking head case though, and I do think that those goals are going to do something for him. I really do.
Did you think it was hilarious in the Brentford game? Like one of the first things he did when he came on was shoot a ball to the moon, and the whole team like screams. Trent like slams the ground. Like everyone was furious, and I was like, "Oh my gosh!"
And then the crowd starts singing, "You're just a." Crap, Andy Carroll.
Wow.
Which he loves hearing.
Wow.
It never goes well for opposition teams.
I mean, he got the last laugh. Why was Salah non-existent until like the last 10 minutes of that game? That was frustrating.
Well, it's been interesting. He's done that a lot this season where it's like 80 minutes, nothing from Salah, and then he turns up a goal and an assist in the last 10 minutes.
Yeah.
What's he need?
The other two, I think, more serious considerations. That still probably not as serious as any of the other guys. Szoboszlai or McAllister.
No.
Nothing doing for you. Szoboszlai 7 shots this week against Brentford. I know the whole team was shooting the lights out, but he seems a little bit more
shooty,
attacking.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah,
he really does.
Well,
McAllister definitely not. Partially because Gravenberch's form has slipped a little bit, which I guess is to be expected, and so McAllister's had to track back a lot more. Is playing a little bit more defensively, but Szoboszlai it is a good shout. From a form perspective, he's passing the eye test. For the last couple weeks at least. It's just a matter of can he start converting. And the biggest issue with him was he's been on form for a while, and then obviously went out of the team. But even when he was on form, he was standing 3 feet from the goal line and couldn't put it across. So until he starts converting and scoring goals,
But we have been saying that for 3 years.
I know it's small sample size, but in the last 2 weeks, I mean, like I said, 7 shots last week, or 7 shots against Brentford. I almost said Brentwood. Yeah. Brentford. Yeah. 10 shots for him in the last 2 games, 14 touches in the box in the last 2 games. He's had more touches in the opposition box than Gakpo and Luis Diaz.
That's a wild stat.
So it's just into the game when they're pushing, and
that's a wild stat, especially with Diaz playing as the central striker.
Did something change? That's why I'm saying, like, did something change with position? Did something change where he's actually playing more advanced? Is there something that's a tactical thing, or is that just the consequence of the way the opponent played them?
And Liverpool is either on terms or behind when he has come in, and he, to his credit, has made impacts in a couple games, but he's just so unreliable. He's so unreliable. He doesn't start, and he comes in.
He has played multiple.
I was going to say, for reliability, McAllister, one of the last 10 games, 7 Liverpool players have played 700 minutes or more, and he's one of them. So just one of the guys you could kind of count on.
Right. Yeah, I think your guys are Salah.
I'm just saying, people are buying Konate.
Yeah.
He's one cheap. Of their top, he's one of the top defender transfers in. Like Robertson, if he had started against Brentford, you might have actually thought about it. He's buried in outside the top 30 for defender transfers. And I'm just saying,
no one should be transferring Robertson in. We should be transferring Robertson out of the club right now. He's not been great this season.
I was gonna say Smikas is
fine. He's been fine.
No, but I just But Konate is probably a money-saving move. Virgil is the super safety pick, but Trent is your
absolutely.
He's second defender scoring.
Yeah, absolutely. I wouldn't necessarily. It's just
so much money. He's just so much money.
Salah's the way to go if you don't already own him. You should be trying
Salah
to get him.
Gakpo and Pickford for that double match.
Yeah,
week.
I like that. That's good.
I don't think I'm going to bring in anyone else for that double match week. Maybe
DCL.
If you want to get wild, bring in a Everton defender.
Yeah, and I've got one of those.
Ashley Young. Bring in an Ashley Young. If you just if you want to have Ashley one Young. Transfer that week, and chances are you at least already have 2.
Can't do Ashley Young.
All right. Could you have him?
No, I was going to say. And is there any reason to pick more than one Everton player? They're at Brighton this week, but in the double. Home against Leicester is about as good as it gets. So you're really hoping for something special in that one game.
I think it's reasonable.
Ndoye and DCL look fine.
I was going to say
Njai, whatever.
Pickford is safe. But yeah, I think based on transfers in, they're not way up there.
No,
but and I will always love you, and DCL.
I'm not bringing in DCL.
Chewy FPL.
Moise has the keys to unlocking his ability to score goals. He already did it.
I know.
He scored this week.
So there's a really good write-up about the renewed Everton attack under Moyes by Chewy FPL, who we talked about before. Basically, you can go find it. The short version is basically David Moyes wants Ndiaye to carry the ball and run at defenders more. That basically he has an on the ball characteristic that is underutilized greatly with Sean Dyche. And Moyes is recognized.
He's unlocking him.
Yeah, and you can see. So in that thread, he has the
really
average position for all the players. He was more advanced as an average position, more advanced than DCL.
Interesting.
But basically, just to say, because of that on the ball running at defenders' ability, that he has more routes to points than Calvert-Lewin,
probably cheaper
no, they're the same price.
Oh,
5.4 for both guys.
Right. That's so cheap.
Calvert-Lewin as more reliant on service, which is not bad because the left and right defenders are playing further up. And I was going to say that one of the things that he pointed out in there was Mykolenko playing on Ndiaye's side, doing more overlapping runs with him. Mykolenko's, I still have him because he's never a priority.
So in other words, you were really happy to see that in that article.
Yes.
And it validated you.
No, not at all. It was more just like, oh my gosh, he's doing something.
Yeah.
No, his average, even for Mykolenko, his average position in the Spurs match, and that's the other part of it, is kind of like, it's hard to evaluate that because it was Spurs, but still, like, Mykolenko's average position in that game was midfield. It was the half field line, which is pretty high, I would say, for a defense.
For Everton especially, yeah.
But basically, that the evidence that they might, like, that they both scored goals, like, there's some evidence that it could be working here. I mean, Ndiaye got a bonus point. Calvert-Lewin didn't. A yellow card didn't help Calvert-Lewin, but whatever. They both scored goals. For Calvert-Lewin, it was 6 shots this week. He had 3 big chances against Tottenham, which was more than any other player in the game week. So it's like good. That's a lot of big chances. Like, you want big chances to score, but bad because, wow, that's a lot of big chances, and you only got 1 goal out of it. Like, more Calvert-Lewin magic, I guess. Highest expected goal of the game week, 1.43 XG for DCL. That's even higher than Darwin, believe it or not. So
he's not buying it.
I'm not saying like the selection percentage. Ndiaye's not even over 1% unless that has changed in the last few hours. Calvert-Lewin's not even at 2, not even at 0.9, and Calvert-Lewin's at 1.6.
So do you want
Ashley Young? I was going to say no because this week I just said it's probably not a good sign that Jake O'Brien started over Ashley Young this week.
Okay.
Not sure if there was an injury concern. Didn't see that, but it looked like that was a selection choice, not a
if you want to add a Everton defender,
it's Tarkowski or Mykolenko.
Okay.
Yeah, Tarkowski for safety because center back, and Mykolenko. I mean, I guess if Branthwaite's playing, is Branthwaite playing?
Yeah, Branthwaite and Tarkowski are the same.
Right. So I think either of those guys, you just avoid the other side. But
every once in a while, one of them or both, I've never seen both in a game get a header, but they are a corner threat.
For this season, Mykolenko 11 shots, Tarkowski 10. They're your team leaders for shots overall.
Okay.
So
all right, just to wrap on DCL before we move on, because we've talked about this for far too long. Would you rather have DCL in a double game week in 24 or Cunha against Villa in 24?
I'd probably want the guy that could score twice.
I don't want DCL.
That was the setup.
Yeah.
So you'd rather
into it.
All right.
I don't want him.
All right. He's not biting. All right. So speaking of biting, who's good right now? Kuliszewski was the first name that I saw.
Oh my gosh.
Are we going to noisemakers?
We're going to noisemakers.
You didn't want to use biting and noisemakers in the same sentence?
I gave up.
I mean,
I'm over it.
Okay.
The first name I'm surprised you didn't see was Kluivert from Bournemouth.
Kluivert has been on fire.
You're not wrong. He's been playing well, but he's relying pretty heavily on penalties, isn't he? Still,
it doesn't matter. He's now 4th overall in midfield scoring at a 5.6.
It just seems like a false economy there. Because
he got 22 against Newcastle. Okay, It's undeniable. That will juice. He had enough in one match week, as in 3 match weeks or more. So, but to his credit,
it's happening.
How many guys have scored over 20 fantasy points this season?
No, it's there.
He's done
100%.
it twice. He did it against Wolves, and he did it against Newcastle.
We've been very dismissive, and we should have talked about him sooner, for sure. The issue for me, though, is again, going back to how much of it is because of his play or the team's play, and how much of it is because of the way the ball bounced and how the other teams have played against them and the penalties that have been called.
Points are points.
I can't argue with that.
How high pitched can I say that? Points are points.
Very high.
That sounds like your normal voice.
Oh, thanks. Appreciate
I have a filter on you. So.
Yeah, it's highly reliant on penalties.
I'm not.
But does that matter is the question. So that's true, and that's what I'm saying. But I'm not saying that doesn't matter. I'm saying, does that matter?
His price dictates the fact that he could easily be your 5th midfielder.
Over
I would rather
Jacob Murphy?
Yeah, but I mean, right now
over Semenyo?
I'll get to this. I wildcarded this past week, and we'll discuss this.
And you brought in Jacob Murphy instead of Kluivert?
Well, but there's a 0.5 difference, so I can't get to Kluivert.
Okay.
I would have had to make other changes. So
I mean,
and also, Ahmad's Diallo is in that conversation in that same price range.
All right.
But Kluivert is 4th overall in midfield scoring, and he scored 20 2 times this season.
Yeah.
So 22 and 20. So I'm just saying you're not going to have a heavy investment in someone who could give you an unbelievable return. Now, what Brian would probably argue is if he's your 5th midfielder and he's on your bench,
you're putting words in my mouth.
Then he's going to score 20 on your bench.
What difference does it make?
Does that make sense? Like,
no, I hear you.
No, I mean,
if you're never going to play him, then what does it matter?
I've benched. That's the thing. I've benched Morgan Rogers points this season, and that's the thing. Like,
have you ever looked at how many points you've benched on this season?
I benched
it is terrible. It hurts when I look at that. Some of the benchings I've had.
That end of season spreadsheet that we've. Oh my gosh.
No, that's the thing. Like, Ahmad would be ahead of him. Rogers was already ahead of him. I mean, a 22 takes for a 22 to put you at 108 points is like. Great job, but holy cow, you were just at 80 points. You were you were trailing some of these guys that were the trendy picks or have been like the standard picks. You know, you leapfrog them in one game.
Yeah.
I just hate that the guy scored 40% of his season points in 2 games. I would
get it.
I would rather not have that. However, I totally understand why. I think it's just a question of, like, he's got 10 goals from a total XG of 4.
The other thing is Evan Nielsen and
a non-penalty XG of 4.
Evan Nielsen and Unal, right?
Both out.
Are both out. So he is absolutely one of the attacking threats, and he's probably playing more forward than he has all season.
All right, I'll give you that.
There's that.
I'll give that to you.
Yeah, I'm not saying he's not a bad pick at all because of the price. I mean, I totally understand why he's the number. Is he number 1 transfer in? He might be the number 1 transfer in of all players.
Next, he is
6.8% ownership as of.
He is the number 1 player transferred in.
No, I totally understand it, and Bournemouth has been like we said. I mean, how many people have Semenyo? A lot more than him. Maybe not. Semenyo's only at 6%. That's crazy.
Why are people selling Palmer?
Yeah, Kluivert now ahead of him.
People selling Palmer.
He's the 3rd most transferred out.
Crazy people. Crazy.
Number one midfielder transfer out. Very hot right now to sell Cole Palmer.
Crazy.
Seems like an odd move.
Silly people.
After
Dave,
back-to-back, that's super.
Do you want to save Foden for when you talk about your wild card, or you want to talk about Phil Foden for the top guys right now?
We can talk about him right now.
Just say he's the number one
he's
in
a
form.
noise maker. He's a noise maker.
He's the number one form player.
That's what
So
we've been
I
waiting
could
for.
say he's the number one noise maker of all. 48 points in the last 4 games for Phil
6,
Foden.
8, 15, 19. In case you thought,
you own him, right?
He's sitting on a 22 this week.
You brought him in?
I got him.
Yeah.
I did too.
Nice job.
I did not get him for the 19 though. I brought him in.
I got him for the 19.
I brought him in.
No, like
I got rid of him in Bomo.
Oh wow!
As did I.
Get him.
As did I.
Huh?
And
I think
I don't
that's
feel
crazy.
great. I don't feel great about it.
It's crazy.
I
had
too.
to. Well, we could.
We'll
talk
get
about
to-
this
I
next
just
news,
said last
but
week.
I had to get rid of Bomo.
Like we said last week, Foden's now he's got returns and he's got volume. So 10 shots and 8 chances created in the last 4 games. I would say most of the pundit class though is saying don't buy him now because of bad upcoming fixtures.
It doesn't bother me.
Bad decisions are what I do, though.
Yeah.
No, that's not a bad decision. Ask how many of those pundits are even ranked in the top million. Probably not many.
But I'm not ranked in the top.
Right. That's the thing.
I need to do the alternative thing, the little thing that nobody else is doing.
Would-be friend of the podcast, John Batra. I hope I'm not butchering that. I say him all the time. It might not be even the right name. Jinbatra. What?
Just would-be friend.
Yeah,
It's my favorite.
Basically, he's saying on the grounds that Foden himself is a good asset, that the fixtures therefore are fine.
Yeah.
And then just goes through the list, like the home games, like next 8 games.
Yeah,
They all look gray or red, but the home games are Chelsea, Newcastle, Brighton, Leicester.
No, Liverpool.
No, but like I'm saying, like out of those games, Chelsea, Newcastle, Brighton, and Leicester are totally fine for attackers.
Where are you coming up with Brighton? Oh, that's after Forest. Okay,
Right.
I see it.
No, I'm just saying like that. Just the home games. The tough game of the home games is Liverpool. No one is. That's not a debate.
Correct.
So everyone is going to see that as a tough game. Their away game against Arsenal,
That's
on
gonna be
paper, tough game. Is Saliba going to be back by then?
I think so. I don't think he's
Okay.
I don't think he's in bad shape.
All right.
He's
So
French. He's very fragile.
he might be a liability
Fighting
anyway,
words.
the way he's been playing recently, Dave. You might not want.
He hasn't been at the top of his game this season. He'll be back soon. He won't play this week, but he'll be back soon.
What you don't want is who played center back for you in the last game? Was Partey back there?
Yes.
No, Timber. It was Timber and Gabriel, and Partey played right back.
Oh, yeah. So you probably don't want that.
yeah,
You probably
that's
don't want
exactly
that
what it was.
arrangement anymore ever again.
Kivior played in the Champions League match at center back and did fine.
That's where he naturally plays.
It
Isn't
is.
So.
Either way, away against Arsenal, not great on paper. Who knows though? And whatever, you never know with that game. But
Remember,
the other,
it's the revisit of Stay Humble.
yes,
We had him beat dead to rights, and
Yeah.
then the Trossard red.
and Holland might be humble now himself.
Maybe.
Which that could the inverse of that could create a real. I mean, that could create some
Yeah, I
sort
think
of
that's
a disturbance.
I think that's the equation for a black hole. So
Gabriel
I'm just gonna
said
open up and
after
suck
that match-
everyone in.
Gabriel said after that match, we'll be waiting for them on our ground.
Oh, all right.
So it has been circled since that game.
So 2 tough games.
Get your popcorn ready.
2 tough games on paper and off paper. The other away games at Spurs, who knows? That's probably great
It's a
for
5-5
points.
game.
And then they're at Nottingham Forest, which this pundit in particular describes that game as a Foden-type game. And I think mostly it's because of the way Nottingham Forest plays defense. It favors someone who plays
Like Foden does.
well, Foden's style
Yeah.
fits that sort of game
Okay.
better than some of the other.
Listen,
way.
I don't care who it is. I don't care
I
who
was
they're
going to
playing.
say, the whole point of it is, like,
Yeah.
there's at least an argument to be made. The fixtures aren't nearly as bad as they appear by color-coded system. And then on top of that, like, if City really are finding any kind of form, if City really are coming together here, very much.
They lost in Champions League this week. I still don't think their form is great. But I've seen plenty of teams in Champions League and then Premier League in different competitions play differently. All I know is this. Phil Foden, last year, Player of the Year. And this year...
Oh, now you're a Foden fan.
Fall down
I'm
Phil.
a fantasy fan.
All right.
I
fan of the fall
absolutely
down Phil.
call him Fall Down Phil. But let me tell you something. This week, I'm riding the fantasy wave. I don't have to like a player. I've owned plenty of Spurs. I hate Spurs. I hate Chelsea. I continue to own Chelsea players because I want to finish first in fantasy. So Fall Down Phil is coming off a 6, an 8, a 15, and then as I, at 3 a.m., woke up to take the dog out this week, decided, and we'll talk about it in a minute, my wild card, and I decided to bring Foden in, and I couldn't have been more happy about that.
Or humpy. No, it's a great move, and I'm jealous that you did it. It's great, and I think it's an understandable thing. I think entirely the price is what. I mean, that's the one thing that would stop you from doing it. I think, and kind of, who you're sacrificing to.
All right, Brian. Next noise maker.
I mean, my vote would be. It would be Jean-Philippe Mateta.
Okay, you have been toting Mateta. Credit to you for the last couple of weeks. No surprise. I was jealous. I did not have him this week.
Yeah.
I kind of wished I would have brought. I mean, honestly, in my wild card, I'm thinking Gakpo Mateta.
Yeah.
And I stuck with Gakpo, but
because of the double game week.
Yeah. The double game week swayed me. And honestly, look at Gakpo's numbers. He's been really good. He hasn't netted in the last 2 weeks.
He probably won't play both of them, though.
But before that, it was 12-5 and 6, and then the last 2 weeks, I didn't expect much against Forest. In fact, I think I benched him against Forest, and then I thought maybe against Brentford something would happen, but it didn't, and that's fine. I don't know. Fine. I know this. There's no minute worry with Mateta, Brian.
Not at all, and that's the thing.
Yeah.
So he's played more minutes than Chris Wood has in the last 4 games. He's got 4 goals in the last 4 games, which
8 and
which
13.
only Isak has done better.
13.
Yeah, he's been great. It's the same thing. I think we talked about it before. So weirdly, he took a penalty,
and their schedule's fantastic.
So that was a big plus.
He took
for
a
him.
pen
This last week. He took penalty
over Eze was on him.
Yeah, and then I don't know that Eze. That's a great question. I don't
was
know
Eze
that
on when
was off.
If only there was a way.
I know a better podcast. But either way, Mateta. It's the weird thing with him is that again the numbers are not overwhelming. I think it's just that Crystal Palace are playing collectively better. They've whatever it is, Eze being there and whatever and Sarr and that front three of Eze, Mateta, and Sarr really clicking. And then defensively,
Eze was not on the pitch.
And then so defensively, I just think, I mean, they have not been great for clean sheets, and then they finally get one. And Munoz
on my bench with his clean sheet.
That's a amazing benching. You must have had an amazing team.
Buried on the bench.
Wow. So anyway, all of that to say, I think it speaks more to the quality of Crystal Palace, the quality of football that they're playing, the fact that his numbers, like he's taken 11 shots in the last 4 games. That's
a lot.
That's fine, but like Wissa has taken 20. Raul Jimenez has taken 19. Haaland has 17. Nicholas Jackson has 15. I'm saying there's a lot of forwards who have shot more, and some of them. What did I just do to myself? I think I shut it off. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, I still hear you.
Holy jeez. Either way, the point is. No, I hit that. I touched that. The point is,
just turn Daft Punk mode on again. The Daft Punk filter's coming.
No, please.
You're gonna do it. That's what it sounds like.
Did that happen? All right.
Bad.
Anyway, the point is, a lot of forwards have taken more shots than Mateta, and his touches in the opposition box are kind of low actually compared to some of the other forwards.
Yeah.
Still producing,
but I'm saying he is producing. He's still a great pick, and I think that their fixtures are still.
His price was always the issue with him.
He's 7'4",
but it's fine now, right?
You're still good.
Point,
I mean,
he's identical with Gakpo, and I'm thinking like, man,
I think
his output is starting to justify his price.
I think the first game where you're like, I don't love that is game week 32. at Manchester City. I that's honestly the first time, because every game prior to that, there's not one match where you're like, if you had to play Mateta, you'd be like, yeah, I can see it.
I could care less. Palace always plays City tough.
No, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying even at Newcastle,
City
at Newcastle, game week 29.
Kyle Walker-less City.
Yeah, but they got a couple new guys. They'll be fine.
Kyle Walker.
Their bailout guy is not there.
He hasn't been the bailout guy lately.
I'm just saying, like, the fixture run is still fantastic for Crystal Palace. I think they also would be one that might have a double game week in game week 33. I think there's a few teams. I think it's Newcastle, Liverpool, and somebody else. Ben Crellin's got the sheet. If
it wasn't Ipswich this week, and then the double next week, I would easily go. And that's what it was, Travis. I'm looking at that schedule with Gakpo and Mateta, both the same price.
Yeah,
and I'm looking at. I know what's going to happen. Mateta's going to score again. His price is going to go up, and I'm going to get factored. But it's the Ipswich and the double is one major reason why I held on to Gakpo.
That's not a bad idea. I don't think he plays both, though, in the double.
Don't say that to me.
Go ahead.
The next guy I was going to talk about and bring up was the other guy I brought in on my transfers this week to make room for Foden. I got rid of Anthony Gordon. And I brought in Bruno Guimaraes.
Oh, really?
Jeez. That's interesting.
Who has been quietly doing pretty well, too.
Come on.
Hey, he's been doing great. All right, so...
all right, credit to you. Last 3 match weeks.
Guimaraes,
6-9 for
6-9, last 3 matches against reasonable defenses. They're going against Southampton, Fulham, and City in their next 3. Not bad.
Those are not, I'm not going to let you get away with that. Those are not reasonable defenses. Tottenham and Wolves are reasonable defenses.
His next 3 are basically the same as his last 3.
And then
in terms
Bournemouth,
of defenses.
Maybe reasonable defense. That was a home match for Newcastle.
Right. So all that to say, I think he's a reasonable shot.
I would love to poo-poo that more, but you're right. Coming off he's a noisemaker. 6-6-9 in the last 3 match weeks.
And he's a top 4 creative midfielder on form.
He's a good player. Newcastle's midfield is fun with Tonali's been playing great for them. Bruno G and
I tell you what, Tonali can lay down like nobody's business.
He's a nice flopper. Those Italians know how to flop.
He has got it figured out and can win a foul. It's ridiculous.
Almost as good as Grealish.
I don't know, man. He might be better.
Exactly. Who?
No, that's an odd choice, but a choice that's worked out. So good job.
That's a heck of a move for this week.
It's gonna be fine.
All right, next noisemaker, Brian.
Well, just that De Bruyne and De Bruyne's got 3 straight returns, so they're all assists, but a 5, 7, and 12 in the last 3 games for De Bruyne. I think
9-4.
Price and minutes are going to. Yeah, I think Price is
Foden's
the first
9-2.
Right.
Yeah, but you want Foden. You don't want De Bruyne.
I would rather have Foden than De Bruyne.
De Bruyne?
I'm not saying
De Bruyne.
Kevin De Bruyne. I'm not saying
Arlo White.
I'm not saying that he's he's obviously not a bad choice. I just think.
Agree.
I just would. He'd make me nervous all the time.
Foden's ownership 7-9. De Bruyne.
I just
4-5.
I just don't think that's
about right.
He still is too good of a player. He's still too important.
He's going to
be
with the MLS before the end of the month.
Okay,
all right.
That's not true. That is false.
Dave, talk
falsity.
Talk about your team, Trossard especially, but Trossard, Martinelli, and Havertz all had great games this week, or at least had very good games this week.
Don't go to any of them.
Really? Not even Trossard?
Nah.
You really wouldn't? I'm a little surprised by that. Leandro Trossard, Dave, I feel like he's such a big gamer for you. And it just seems like
he is.
He's got 28 points in the last 4 games, which is pretty good. That's not quite like
9 and 10 against Spurs and Villa.
He's your clutch guy, right?
Yeah.
He is probably the most clutch scorer we have on the team.
Well, and creatively this time he was like
2 assists.
He was trying to he was taking on I think he was trying to take on Matty Cash. That's where he kept going.
Yes, correct.
It was almost like just eyes lit up.
Blood in the water.
Yeah, just no, like
he was running down the pitch doing this.
Yeah. So I'm just saying, he just seems like the kind of guy who, as long as Saka is out,
I might start calling him Rocket. He's got those raccoon eyes. You know?
Yeah, I was gonna say he always looks like he's not well rested.
And Martinelli coming back, scoring a big goal in this one. It does nothing for you.
Martinelli did. I think he either had a goal and an assist in the Champions League match this midweek. In other words, Martinelli's kind of coming into a little something here.
Just a little.
I'm just not. I'm not moving. I'm not moving for either one. Yeah, Martinelli had a goal scored this past week, and I'm not going to bring up the stats, but I'm pretty sure he had a goal and assist in the Champions League match, and so, or maybe it was 2 assists. But either way, I'm just, man. Look, they're my guys. I'm not going to advise anyone on moving to them. I would not. So, and I am brilliant at this game. So, no jokes there.
So
but seriously, I would not. I would not. I own one Arsenal player, and it's Gabriel. So.
Just the next. It's just that the next 4, other than home against Manchester City, you don't love it. But Wolves, Leicester, West Ham. I mean, if you were going to do it,
Havertz also scored midweek as well.
And yeah, so that's why I'm kind of like.
And with Jesus out, he's the starting center forward. So you're getting an advanced player in a midfield. Or that's not true. He's listed as a forward this year.
I guess that's the thing. It's just it feels like
it's 7-8.
You're playing okay. That's your offense.
Yeah,
that's where your attack is
at the moment.
It's all coming from those guys.
Odegaard got a little something cooking in the midweek, so who knows? Everyone's hoping that Odegaard. I mean, he's been doing things, but he's not been showing up in the score sheet.
No, I wouldn't.
You said Martinelli had yesterday's game.
Yeah, so maybe one assist didn't show up.
Yeah, it doesn't look like he was credited with his assist.
He came down.
He did get credited with Kai Havertz's assist.
There was another one the Declan Rice goal. He brings it down the middle.
Declan Rice was given to Kai Havertz as a.
He finds Kai Havertz in the middle, who's falling backwards, and as he does, he touches it out to Rice, and Rice kicks it in. Hockey assist, but. Martinelli was really good in the game.
Yeah, so Havertz did have a goal and assist. Martinelli just had 1 assist in terms of official records yesterday. So
all right, so
Martinelli made that the Havertz assist. Martinelli did all the work. But anyway, if someone wanted to move, Martinelli's 6'7". That's not that expensive, and Trossard's 6'8". That's not expensive either.
That's what I mean. I guess that would be my thing is where's the downside? And it is entirely on who.
Arsenal's schedule's pretty good. It's pretty good coming up. I mean, yeah, they got City, and that doesn't scare me. City's been leaking goals to everybody. Arsenal's been. I don't know if Arsenal's going to win that match, but I hope they stomp their face. I hope there's a 3-0 scoreline in that game.
No.
2 other Manchester City related things. First of all, is Haaland back in form? Do you call that form? Goals in 3 of the last 4 games.
Yeah,
he's not terrible.
Okay,
I think that's
problem.
What it is.
Problem's still the same. The money is still.
Yeah. He's just too much. He's.
Did you at this point making your wild card? Did you even
never?
Okay,
nope, not even close.
I bailed on him.
Brian,
for my wild card.
You've said this from the beginning. He has to greatly outscore his price.
Yeah, you said that. You came up with that idea.
To justify
my original thought.
Originally coined that at the beginning of the season. He has to greatly outscore everyone to justify his price, and there's no way I'm going near him. No way. I've
been tempted to.
I really like my wild card team. And Haaland was
anything.
never, ever a consideration. I didn't even try to put him in there and see, what else could I do?
Price prohibitive.
Yeah. It was weird. I didn't see it was a mouse trap. It was behind the dryer in our basement. Reached back there, snapped immediately. Came to my brain. He has to massively outscore Salah.
It was like a survival instinct,
a strike of lightning that hit me, and it was entirely me on my own. I had not seen it from anyone. Obviously,
get some mousetraps for the table here, and then maybe you'd have some more.
Interesting.
Thoughts.
Good call, Travis.
And it's a bad noisemaker. Just apologies to anyone who bought Savinho ahead of Ipswich. Savinho played 0 minutes. despite having
crazy.
crushed for some time.
That is crazy.
I personally, and this kind of deals with the transfers a little bit. I'm really torn now that Brentford is past kind of their bad fixture run here. I'm really torn. Gakpo's an obvious choice because of the double game week, but Wissa is still screaming at me.
You're right.
Yeah.
You're right. And Vissa,
he's screaming at Wolves too.
After the
apparently
double,
they bid for him,
Travis,
at least once.
After the double, the Mateta Vissa.
Say Wolves, I meant Nottingham Forest. I'm sorry, Nottingham Forest bid for him.
The Mateta Vissa for Gakpo will be good call, Brian. Will be a battle of what do I do with that.
Well, getting ahead of it too, though. One big chance against Liverpool, finished with an XG of 0.64, which is that's good.
0.64.
A good chance of scoring in the game against Liverpool. Yohan Wissa, 17 shots in the last 4 games. That is number 1 overall for forwards.
Wow.
And second only to Mo Salah, who has attempted 20 shots.
Salah's a midfielder.
I'm saying overall.
Period.
Over all players in the league. 8 shots on target for Wissa, second only to Haaland among forwards. And 2 goals from an XG of 4.32.
So underachieving a little bit.
I'd say a lot underachieving. Number 1 XG in the last 4 games.
On their tough stretch. On their tough stretch of games.
4.32 XG in the last 4 games. 2 goals, 4.32 XG, the number 1 XG of all players.
What chances is he missing, though? I can't. Nothing comes to mind.
Well, Travis, he's missing big chances.
They're big ones. The chances are big.
I mean, they're very big.
Obviously,
I don't know how I missed that.
You need to take a scouting course or something on what constitute a chance and then a big a chance.
Thank you so much. Moving on.
He's missing the big chances. So, no, I probably am going to end up, I already blew it by not making the transfer. I should have made the transfer.
Raul?
I do.
I'm
considering a hit this week for the first time.
Would you rather go Vissa than Raul? Probably.
Yeah, I would definitely rather have Vissa than Raul. But I think the first issue is I still have Nicholas Jackson. So I gave Nicholas Jackson the game the game on Monday, which I thought, why not?
I was talking to League Billy today.
Okay.
And he has Nico Jackson. Yeah. And he's like, same thing. I got to get rid of him. And I'm like, look, I know he's had 4 weeks in a row, but
it's coming.
I kind of feel like he's due. I'm serious. I don't own him. Easy for me to say.
Yeah.
But I just kind of feel like maybe he's due.
Is it just me, or does every match he gets more and more of the paint from the feel on his face?
I haven't noticed that.
Every single match is just like,
he's got
what's that white?
He's falling on the line doing? Every time. Face scrubbing.
Look, he's walking off the field and he's got grass and chalk paint, whatever is on his face.
He's working.
You want to talk about
he's hustling. He's working.
If you want underachiever, you can right now. If you can find a sortable statistic thing, such as what we use here at the FPL America podcast, fantasyfootballfix.com. Nicholas Jackson is the only forward in the top basically 12 of any stat that you can find who has not scored a goal or gotten an assist. He's got, and I shouldn't say that. He has gotten 1 assist. But he's got 15 shots, 5 shots on target. He's credited with 4 big chances and has scored 0 goals. We talked about it before. I can't remember who brought it up. I want to say it might have been FPL Chewy when we talked about it last week or 2 weeks ago or whatever.
Nom.
Just to say it's a confidence. I mean, he's a sullen character right now and just cannot seem to.
You know what it takes? Those guys
seem to find it.
Those guys just need 1 goal to snap out of it.
It could be paint chips. It could be.
That's right.
It could be. I don't know.
All right, we still on noisemakers? Are we on anti-noisemakers? Have we shifted?
Well, you did kind of move to.
There are other guys.
Sorry,
we talked. We've poo-pooed Ollie Watkins last week, and then he comes in and hits your guys.
You did.
There.
We didn't say anything about it, but we rarely do.
I just say he was too expensive. He did nothing against Leicester, and then he comes in and almost made Arsenal sad again, but he did not. So
I wasn't happy about it.
But either way,
let's talk about.
Hold on, real quick. I do want to say this. I have poo-pooed Ollie Watkins. To his credit, in the last 3 match weeks against a decent Brighton and a sullen Everton and a decent Arsenal, in the last 3 match weeks, he's got a 12-2-8-8. So I've kind of poo-pooed that.
That's great.
The only thing I would throw in there is that his nemesis Duran is now back.
Will he still be at Villa at the end of the month?
Who, Watkins or Duran?
Duran. It's also subject.
Duran wants to play.
And has been the subject of
what?
A lot of inquiries.
That's a good move for Arsenal.
Johan Duran. You know what's funny is I actually think that Arsenal was the one that I saw. Yeah,
it's just
John. But
no, it's definitely Johan.
That's the same.
He goes by
it's
John.
The same.
All right.
I think Arsenal might be making some noise around him, but a lot of people sniff around Johan John Duran.
I haven't heard that from my sources. I've never seen that name come up. So maybe me throwing it out there right now, Arsenal.
Yeah, it sounds like
Duran wants out.
Hot forward commodities.
He can't be that expensive.
Well, he might be right now. He
cannot be that expensive.
All right, so hot transfer commodities right now on the forward line look to be Vissa, Cunha, and Duran.
Cunha might be changing teams.
Reasonable.
Cunha,
all reasonable.
I would stay away
moves
from Cunha right now.
But it sounds like the number one team that's in the market right now for a forward, which is weird to me, is Nottingham Forest.
Oh, yeah.
It should be Arsenal.
They want someone to pair with
Nottingham Forest are looking for a forward.
They're going in. I think they're willing to pay more. My sources tell me they're going in big time for Cunha, but Cunha wants to go to Arsenal. There's 3 other Brazilians at Arsenal. Cunha's Brazilian.
Interesting.
There's a kindred spirits there. I'm just telling you.
Yeah,
I think Cunha wants to go to Arsenal. Arsenal doesn't want to pony up the exact money that Wolves want. Forest is more than willing to pony up.
How about the Arsenal artwork outside of
which artwork? There's multiple artworks.
The big one that's been what was
the
Josh time to pay? Was he trying to open the pocketbook, Josh, or something like that?
He's in London. I hope something gets done.
A lot of giant.
The problem is in the January window, everyone knows people are desperate and they don't want to let go of their top attacking threats.
Why would you?
Shesko, Brian's relative at Red Bull Leipzig, is
He's
another
a defender,
one
right?
that they really
he scored again.
Really would love to have. I have a hard time seeing that one happen. Anyways,
United have a long time.
Hey, look, if I find out that he's like a distant cousin or something like that,
friend of the pod,
you'll be actually happy about
I will
that.
be over the moon. Period. Whether he's an Arsenal or not.
Yeah.
I mean,
all right.
Look.
Are we talking about my wild card yet?
Yeah,
I just want to say one just for defensive. We don't really talk a lot about defense, but right now your form defenders, all 4 of the starting Crystal Palace defenders are all top form defenders. So Gahey scored this week. It's funny because the guys that we've talked about the most between Munoz and I think Tyrick Mitchell would be a solid choice.
Right.
Are both being outscored by Lacroix and Gahey. So the central defenders have both outscored the guys. Definitely Munoz, who's been the heavier pick, and then in the last 4 weeks, Gahey's got 25 points. Only Trent Alexander-Arnold has more points than him in the last 4 games.
Wow.
So Lewis Hall makes sense. Everybody going to Hall. So if you have right. But Kirk has scored. Milos Kirk has scored again this week.
He did. He was amped too.
Yeah, he great.
It was a
Anthony Robinson goal. With the luckiest 2
cheaper
assists.
than Munoz. That's so.
Yeah,
I went with the wrong Palace guy.
LaCroix also cheaper than Munoz.
He goes by bubbly water.
He's disgusting.
I love sparkling water. Don't you ever say that?
No, look, I saved it. It's one of my favorite things. Somebody, I wish I had it just to credit. It's not my original thought, but just that LaCroix tastes like it tastes like a beverage from the future, from a place that has outlawed emotions. One of my favorite.
I've heard Brian tell me
I
this
love
before.
It's one of my favorite.
You said this on the pod. Someone
I
also.
love that internet joke.
I don't care for that.
Someone also. I've heard someone say it tastes and smells like a Skittles fart.
Oh, yeah, I can see that too.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Never had one of those.
Did you start Anthony Robinson for his 2-assist game here the other day?
Absolutely, I did.
Yeah. Because both of those assists
I think
could not have been luckier. There's the luckiest
I
2
love
assists
lucky
ever.
assists.
No, of course,
cares?
everyone that got him loves
they're
him. But
playing Leicester.
yeah.
Why not play them?
no one cares. All 26.8% of teams.
Just the
probably
swing in
started
points for defenders, the fact that like Nottingham Forest, like Ina gets an assist, which is also a lucky assist, whatever, in that game, in a game where Milenkovic is, somehow still mysteriously, honestly, don't know how he didn't get.
I happened to check in right when he scored the goal.
Yeah.
And then it was taken away, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I was already crying a river
I
was already crying a river that Forrest gave up that goal, and then Milenkovic scores but doesn't score, and it gets taken away.
That one,
I'm literally
and the
watching
João
that in
Pedro,
real time.
And the João Pedro one bothered me a little bit. And honestly, I'm surprised you haven't mentioned it yet. The Arsenal winner that got chalked off bothered me a little bit too.
I've chosen just not to discuss.
I understand the rule, but I also understand that it did not look clear.
I have seen a GIF
bothered me.
absolutely shows it not hitting his arm.
Well, there was one angle that shows it not, and then there was one angle that clearly shows that it did. So that's
I don't know
the
about
thing.
clearly.
That's
the thing that bothers it.
It definitely hit his hand. It definitely hit
That
his hand.
is literally
The reaction from your own player says that it hit his hand, and they know. The fact that the guy
He's going to war for this.
No.
Look at his face. He looks serious about it.
what you
he's very
just
serious.
described.
Got convictions about this.
Oh no, because I would just say your own guy turned away in sadness as he watched the ball go in the net, while the rest of the team runs off in happiness, and it's because he knew exactly.
This is like
Havertz
everyone's
knew what he did.
seen the dress meme. Is it pink and white, or is it gray and blue? And you're like, how's that even? And you can show the same picture to a different person. They say this. I mean, right?
Isn't that the nature of VAR, though?
I have seen the video of it.
And you've chosen to believe
the GIF, whatever it is, that you can watch over and over again because it's just one clip. You can watch it over and over again. It does not hit his arm. But whatever. Look, I'm not going to complain about those. Arsenal should have scored before then, so it's whatever, man. You didn't get it done. Bottom line is you didn't get it done. I'm not going to cry over one play in a game. No game rarely ever comes down to one play. You had chances in other times, and you didn't get it done.
Yeah, like
whatever. You left it up to one play.
Like divisional NFL games definitely don't come down to one play either. It's just like
this past week in Monday night in my – did I talk about this? The game that we lost?
You've talked about every game you've ever played,
this.
so
this
probably.
Is a Middle School Girls podcast. Monday night we had a game. And we were playing a team that I knew was going to be tough. They whipped us last year 40-8. And we have a team now that could compete with them. They come in our house and play. I'm watching them warm up. I'm like, all right, I think we got this. This team's really well coached, played great defense. We lost 29-27. But we gave the ball away 4 times in the last minute of the game. This team made 2 baskets in the first half, and they went as middle school girls basketball. First half, they go 11 for 12 from the free throw line, Travis. Can't make this up. Anyways, 3rd minute into the game, my daughter gets called for a foul, legit foul. Ref comes over, number 34. Bookkeeper is looking. Ref starts walking away. She goes, "Sir, are you sure it's 34? He said, "Yes, right there, 34. She goes, "I don't have a 34 in my book."
Oh, no.
She wrote the number down wrong. My daughter's been 34 all year, but she wrote down 31 somehow. The ref comes over to me and goes, "Coach, I hate to do this to you."
She's disqualified.
It's a technical foul.
Oh, no.
So some girl steps up, makes both free throws, Travis. Guess what? We lost 29-27. We lost by 2 points.
Because of a clerical error.
Because of a clerical error that I didn't even do. My bookkeeper entered it in. She could have just erased the 1 or just changed the 1 to a 4. You could have just done 2 lines on the 4. Anyways,
Can we get her name and her address
No
just
way.
in case there's anyone that is?
No way. I will not reveal her name publicly because she kept booked for me tonight. She did awesome. She felt horrible about it. Simple mistake, but guess what? That one thing didn't make us lose the game.
But you guys are going to be really sad at the end of year pizza party now.
Man, that one moment didn't change the fact that we lost the game. We had a million other chances in that game to win that game. We didn't. Same thing with Arsenal. That goal, disallowed goal, didn't change the fact that they should have got it done. Anyways, all that to say, are we talking about my wild card yet?
No, it's just that it's not.
We'll never get there.
It's just that it's not a dress issue because that really is two different things, but it is one color in the end. Like there's a definitive
There is a
angle.
right answer.
Yeah, you can.
It's the same thing with that sneaker. They have like a dress and a sneaker. Travis, have you never seen any of these?
I know what you're talking about, but
How have you not?
People have gotten
this.
so heated about them. I have intentionally kept it out of my eyeballs.
It is
so I've never actually looked at it.
You can show 10 people in a room, and 5 people are going to say they think it's pink and white, and the other 5 is say it's teal and gray.
Yeah,
it is none of those colors are close. People say this. I don't understand it.
Right, you can show 100 Arsenal fans that video, and all 100 of them will say it's obviously not a handball, and then anyone else will say, well, by rule, it actually does hit his arm, and you can see his sleeve ripple. It's definitely unintentional, but the rule says that it's...
Also, he's German, so...
Right, so... No.
Notoriously handsy.
Yeah. Why were we even talking about that? You were just trying to get him mad about deciding.
I
just
really needed to get him in the mood to talk about middle school girls basketball.
What are we talking
again.
about, Mike? Wild card.
Right now.
All right.
And go.
Very good. All right. Woke up at 3 a.m. to take the dog out because dog had to go to the bathroom. And at that point, decided to look at my phone and start messing with my fantasy lineup and said, the heck with it. Let's wild card.
I thought to myself,
I'm going to do what I did last. I'm like, man, do I really want to do it now? Like, I don't have to. The last 2 or 3 weeks, I've lost position in the mini league of sub-average to sub-average weeks. And I'm like, man, my defense is garbage. And I pretty much changed 4 of my 5 defenders, added a starting goalkeeper, the top goalkeeper, and changed up a couple players in my midfield. So I said, the heck with it. I'm going to take the same attitude I took last season, which was I'm just going to push trouble down the road, whatever. Yeah, I'm going to do it right now. I'm tired of losing out to one Elliot Weeby. And so I
called out.
Facts. I'm tired of it. And I took back first place in the mini league this week. So I started with goalkeepers.
Trash talking a 12-year-old.
Absolutely. I do not care. This is Fantasy Premier League. Kick rocks.
He's
kids,
playing.
Women.
True.
I don't care.
Do you want Travis?
League Diane, don't take offense to that. You are a league champ, and I have never been, so don't take offense.
Do you want
that.
Travis to set it up where he trips him down the set of stairs or something like that?
I mean, I'm not against it.
Yeah,
I'm not against it. All right.
Why would I be the hatchet man?
Because let's be honest, you would be a hatchet man. I will say this: I don't need people, Brian. Right. I don't need people to do my dirty work. I'm very comfortable taking care of my own dirty work.
He's a plumber.
It's true. Facts. All right. So started with goalkeeper, Brian, because I know you want me to start in the back. You always say, David, start in the back.
Back to front.
Yep. So I already had Pickford in the team, and he was already at a cheaper price. Now he's actually gained a 10th, not for me, but overall he was at a 4.9. Now he's back up to 5.0, and I took his counterpart at a 5.0, the league leader, Matt Sells.
Really? So you have Pickford and Sells?
Correct.
Man, that's an expensive defensive line.
I do not.
Understandable.
I do not care.
You don't have Holland? You can afford it.
Holland who? In the defense, I'm like, well, screw it. I'm going with Gabriel. He'll be my one Arsenal guy. He's a threat on every freaking header and corner that they do. Every once in a while, every 5 games, they'll get a clean sheet, and he's a goal threat. And I've seen him score 3 goals already this season. Gabriel.
Oh, okay, Gabriel.
You weren't joking?
I just didn't hear you say.
That's expensive.
So then I went. I already had Anthony Robinson. He's been crushing. I wasn't getting rid of him. He is my lone defender that I kept. And then I filled it out with Milenkovic. I would love to have gotten to Ina, but Milenkovic is the cheaper Ina. And so I wanted a piece of the Forest defense. They've been the best defense all year. Yeah. It's crazy that I don't take 3 Forest players. So I went with Sells and Milenkovic, and then all right. So Gabriel, Milenkovic, then and Robinson, and then I added Lewis Hall and Daniel Munoz.
Okay.
Munoz on my bench this week, earning all the bench points for me.
Excellent.
Midfield: Palmer, Salah, Ahmad. Those are my 3 guys that stayed. I let go of Mbumo, which hurt, and Enzo. So Mbumo and Enzo out. The second I brought in Enzo, he did nothing for me. It's literally, you can go back, look at the week, and he scored nothing. He had like 4 weeks in a row where he was amazing. Anyways, he was 5-0. He was cheap. And so Mbumo and Enzo out, Foden and Murphy in.
Okay.
And then I did nothing with my front line. I left it Gakpo, Isak, and Wood.
Wow.
So you do have 3 Forest
So
players.
going into this week, I'm like, oh my gosh, please. I mean, I was grinding. I had dropped like 5 spots in the main league, and I'm like, please, Phil, fall down Foden. Please, Phil, fall down Foden. Do something. And that joker turns into 19 and absolutely saves my fantasy week. And I finished a fantasy league in first place in the mini league. So I couldn't have felt better than that. And now it's a very thin margin, but still, whatever. Finished the fantasy week in first. Phil, fall down Foden, saved my fantasy week. Boys, shoot holes in that team.
You can't. It's too boring and standard. There's too many regular choices. There's no
fun things.
I like Murphy, even though he's probably coming off the boil.
Foden's ownership is low.
Yeah, and that's why I picked him up too. I agree with that. Yeah, I think you're fine. It's interesting.
I'm surprised
Gakpo's a little weird, but with the double game week, I get it, and you've justified that.
It was the Ipswich and the double match week, and then I'm like, well, you know what? I'll just transfer him out.
I'm surprised you didn't go ahead of the crowd and get Kluivert in before his 22.
I couldn't get there. Again, I have Diallo.
You could have gotten there if you didn't spend so much money on freaking
Gabriel.
Known. There's so many other people that you could have picked up for cheaper than that.
I like Gabriel there.
That's fine. I'm just saying, you wanted us to poke holes.
No, that's fair. Look, on the season, where's Gabriel? What, 4th overall? Yeah, he's 4th.
Something like that.
He's behind Milenkovic by 1 point. So I got 3 of the top 5 defenders in my fantasy team. I don't have Ina, and I don't have Trent Alexander-Arnold.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is you could have switched from Gabriel to Kirkez.
I have 4 of the top 8. 4 of the top 8.
Gabriel to Kirkez, and you would have gotten Kirkez's goal too. Just saying that.
You should have known what these guys were going to score. I feel like that's a real miss.
Well, they told me. I just surely it's not going to happen.
Oh, you know who also would have qualified easily for noisemakers is Matoma. That's another guy who's been he's put together 2 big games. So back-to-back double digits for him. A 10 and a 12 in the last 2. So
that's fair. That's a good call. It's a good late call there.
Yeah, but it's not. I get why you wouldn't have chosen him given the minutes and performances prior to that. But
yeah, he wasn't on the radar.
So I understand why you didn't go to him. No, I mean, there's nothing really to like. It's a good team. Do you feel like you're set up for you're content with what you've got for the double game week?
Yeah, I was actually.
Yeah, so I'm not
ever.
Salah and Gakpo and Pickford, and like I said, maybe I move for an Everton defender. I'm just not going to prioritize this double match week. I'm not. I mean, I would rather, the nice thing coming off a wild card, if no massive injuries happen, now with the new setup, you can afford to go 2 or 3 match weeks. Used to be obviously you could go 2. But then you need to use 1 or you lose it. Now you don't lose it up to 5. So when an early wild card at minimum possibly buys you 2 or 3 weeks of no transfers, banking, and then all of a sudden now you can almost do like Brian, we like to call it like a little mini wild card.
Yeah,
you could easily land on 3, and so I think that's going to be my goal. Is like, all right, let's bank some transfers for the next 3 match weeks, and then see what happens.
Brian asked me a question that I hadn't thought about when I did my wild card, and I'm going to ask you because it doesn't sound like you've really thought about that. Did you leave some free cash for the manager chip?
Oh, yeah.
0 cash.
Yeah.
Do you have to pay for the manager?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll be available next week. So going into the double game week. So that's a point of discussion
So
too.
hold on, you got all of a sudden got to come up with like,
and it costs you
$4 or
a transfer.
Yeah, it's a transfer.
screw that. I don't even use that shit.
Well-
That's stupid.
No, it doesn't cost you a transfer the first time you use it, but it does cost you a transfer if you switch it. Is what I understood.
Is this someone like an actual player you have in your match every week?
You use the assistant.
I thought it was just a one-time
3 weeks,
thing.
right?
You use the assistant manager chip, and once it's activated, you choose the manager, and then they are in your team for three
consecutive
games.
match weeks.
Yeah,
So
and yes, your initial
So you
manager
can
selection will
change your
not cost
manager
a transfer.
Once
So-
you activate it, you can change it.
You can.
But
It will
it
cost
costs
you
a
a transfer,
transfer.
and they also have prices, and so you have to have the money to be able to have the manager in your team.
Are they going to make them tenths? Because no one is going to have all of a sudden an extra $4 somewhere. That's crazy.
No, I think it's like up to 2 or something like that, maybe.
There'll be someone will be over $1. But that's why I'm saying
This
like going,
is a
but going.
FPL. This is a stupid chip.
But that's why I'm saying
It's just, this stupid
I'm on
chip is going to
record right
give
now.
Elliot the edge over you.
no way. No way.
people you know.
You're going to have to sell Gabriel and bring
For
in
sure.
somebody crappy just so you can get.
For sure, it will be active.
Slot as your-
People will put slot as their. It'll be used a lot going into the double game week
100% yes.
because Bournemouth, Everton. So you get the double game week. You get Wolves at home,
We did not cover that, and we should have in double stuff.
and then you
Good
get,
point.
and then it's at Manchester City. So it's going to be a popular
I'm going to
choice.
use moist.
I keep hearing moist.
I think
I'm going to
that-
use moist cake.
For me, I wouldn't use it. I still feel like there's
There's going to be bet.
a bigger swing to take on a lower level team
Probably.
because of the bonuses for beating teams higher in the table. I think it's 5 positions higher in the table. But either way,
Yeah, but who's even ripe for that right
Crystal
now?
Palace.
Yeah, that's probably a good choice.
Crystal Palace.
That's a good shout.
Crystal
I mean, we
Palace.
said before,
they're-
like-
they got
Spurs are in 15th. Spurs are 15th.
And United too. Spurs and United
that's a
probably.
really good call, Brian.
We talked about it before. Whenever the idea of the chip even came up was that
Tottenham. You're right. Ange is they're gonna blow that out of the water.
they are the least healthy team in Premier League history.
Spurs.
They have 2 senior players that are fit.
Spurs in match week 31-33. I'm sorry,
Stats.
31-32-33. Southampton, Wolves, Forest.
They started.
That is a perfect Ange assistant manager chip.
I don't know
right
about
there.
the Forest, but
they,
yeah.
they started a friendly squirrel this week in their Europa League.
Is that what we're calling Richarlison now? The friendly squirrel.
No, like
That's your
no,
pod
but for
title.
sure, Everton.
That's your pod
I don't
title.
think you're putting on a Wolves player, but I don't.
All right.
You're probably not putting it
Assistant
on West
manager
Ham, but definitely
chip.
United.
What a
Yeah,
joke.
definitely Crystal Palace.
What a joke.
Why not Brentford? Fulham.
Out of all they
Dude,
can't
I'm
figure
just
out
saying-
what to do with the assistant, with the vice captain. They're going to come up with some stupid assistant manager chip. Come on, FBL. Figure out something to do with the vice captain that's worth 1 week a season.
You need to find the FPL content
God,
creators
man.
who are just as
They
angry
listen to
about
this
this chip
pod.
as you are. You need to.
Oh my gosh.
So
Get it together,
Please
man.
continue.
All right.
it is a good question. It is something you will have to consider at some point.
Yes, I
Well,
did not
next
save
week,
any money.
Technically. Yeah, next week it becomes relevant.
I literally
So-
will I poo-poo on this chip.
I would
you're just not gonna use
assume you're going to pick to use it at some point when somebody who is a team that's finding form,
When
getting healthy.
Spurs are relegated or in the relegation battle, but yet they come up on that Southampton Wolves Forest match.
Hey, look, Spurs have Romero, Van de Ven, Poro.
Exactly. They're all
Udogie's
healthy now.
They
Yeah.
got their Vicarios
And now,
back.
now they're
Right.
down. Yeah, that's exactly right.
So as soon as that happens, and then they stay fit for 2 weeks or whatever, and then Ange gets sacked, and then whoever their assistant manager takes over. That's the thing, is that even in a sacking, it's more about the team.
Okay.
So it's the team.
It's a team
functionally
manager.
the team.
Team manager.
Right. Team manager.
All right.
So anyway, that's it.
All right.
Did
Now-
we ever find out if you cannot use a chip once you activate that one for those 3 weeks, or you can.
Oh, that's an interesting call. You're right. Only one chip's ever been active. Can you use another chip while the assistant manager chip is activated? FAQ, Travis, good question.
But I can't find it. So
interesting. A better pod would have the answer to that. We will have the answer next week.
We talked about it.
We'll have the answer next week.
I lost it.
All right, night moves and captains. I'm not making any moves this week as I'm coming off my wild card. I'm going to bank. Okay. I thought the obvious captain choice was Salah.
Yeah.
Travis is making me question that. My vice captain currently is on Isak at Southampton. That seems a touch juicy as well.
It's away, though. It's always a little weird.
I hate away captains, and I hate captains' first game of the morning.
Yeah.
I don't like morning here in the U.S., afternoon game, and the
first game,
the 12:30 in England game.
It's just always a weird
one. The
one.
7:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time game. I don't like a captain in that game, and I don't like an away captain. It's just one of my quirks.
Another Cole Palmer note, not that you're captaining him, but just for all the people selling him. Per FPL Olympian, a contentious account there on X.
I like
FPL Olympian. City conceded 8 big chances, 26 shots, and gave up 4 goals against PSG. Basically,
they look
kind of like what's the
Kyle Walker's
what are you
not there.
thinking? Is it Cole Palmer's last blank? Is that what it was that made you sell him ahead of Manchester City?
Cole Palmer would love nothing better than to rain on City's parade, the team that sold him. I love players playing against their old teams. So they always seem to perform.
I can't imagine not only benching him, I can't imagine selling.
Yeah.
I mean, it's even weirder.
I am absolutely not benching him.
I don't get it.
I think he's a legit captain pick this week. I don't think he's better than Salah, and I don't think he's better than Isak. But I think if anyone did it, I would not poo-poo it, and I would say, well, I respect that. That's a bold move, and I think he actually will do something
Just
this week.
As an official podcast statement, not one of the 3 podcast members in this podcast would get rid of Cole Palmer.
Absolutely.
Almost under any circumstances.
Well, I don't know about that, but
completely
correct.
It didn't. I didn't captain him this week. I would have been mad if at the end if I had. But ahead of the Wolves game, if you had asked me if I could switch my captain from Salah to Palmer, I would have said yes.
Interesting.
And it would have been worse.
2 points less. Yeah.
So anyway,
interesting.
Do you want to talk about your moves, or are you gonna? Did you already do anything?
Yeah, just I went from.
I'm still captaining Salah, by the way.
Right.
Okay.
Captaining Salah at the moment. Vice captain Isak. Who knows? Maybe that changes. What Travis is saying worries me a little bit.
Crazy captain. Why not Trent?
That's fair.
You've got him. I've got him. I might do it.
Because Delap will score, and then he takes away your clean sheet.
Doesn't matter. Will he score? Will Trent score?
When was the last time he scored? That kid doesn't score.
He scored
he
just
doesn't
the
even
other day.
assist.
He scored
things.
like 2 games ago.
No, he doesn't do anything.
Yes, he did.
He's only the top scoring defender.
He cannot justify his price. You guys that own him are silly people.
He scored. Did he score last week? He scored last week.
He had an assist last week, and he got 3 bonus points.
Yeah.
Two bonus points.
Your number 1 form defender of all defenders, Trent Alexander-Arnold, 28 points in the last 4 games.
Yeah.
By the way, Trent has 1 goal in the season, so don't act like he scores every other week. He scored against West Ham, for God's sakes. Everyone scores on West Ham.
There's only one podcast that's going to tell you that Trent Alexander-Arnold is a bad asset, and that's this one.
It's this 1/3 of this pod will say that Trent Alexander-Arnold.
It's fine. I moved from 2 good assets to 2, I think, good assets. Mbomo had to go. Gordon had to go, which I think both of those are ownable guys.
Absolutely.
I would not be mad if I had to hold on to them. However, I think the bandwagon is shifting to Phil Foden. I hope that is true. So I brought in Phil Foden, and I needed to find somebody
to make some money
at a specific price point in order to be able to bring in Foden. And Guimaraes is is the winner. So I stay in the business of Newcastle. He's been playing very well.
Yes.
I don't have to play him if I don't want to. So I think it's a good situation.
Captaining.
And I am still planning right now to captain Salah.
By the way, I saved it this week. Last week,
yeah, I did the same thing.
I got crushed. I said on the pod, I'm captaining Isak.
I did the exactly
literally
the same
changed
thing.
it. I swear on my life, on my kids' lives, I changed it live on the pod. And in my face, I never scrolled down and hit save. And I am watching the second round of the 10 o'clock matches. I'm like, oh yeah, Isak scored or whatever it was. And I look and I'm like, why is my fantasy score so low?
Yeah.
And then I had a heart attack when I realized I never hit save. You got to be kidding me. Unbelievable. That was, again, the midweek match. But all right.
What do you got?
I'm either going
Benjamin
to so I
Sesko.
have Benjamin Sesko. I've got 2 transfers. I've got $2 million in the bank. I have Nicholas Jackson, and so I can either, if I was going to make one
you
move,
you got to go to Mateta. You love Mateta.
No, if I was going to make one move, it would be Nicholas Jackson to Gakpo.
Gakpo double, yeah.
And then save 2 transfers. I think I would be safe. I want to go to Brentford, but at Crystal Palace is not the kind of matchup where I'm like, oh, I got to get in there to get that. So I feel like it could go badly. It's either going to be Gakpo alone, and then I make the Brentford moves after Palace, or I take a hit, and it's Jackson out, Raul out, Sarr out, Wissa, Gakpo, and Mbumo in.
Oh wow! Okay,
so
that's
it's
pretty
one.
good.
Yeah, and so that's the thing. Like Jackson,
you will leave this decision for the last minute. This will be a Saturday morning decision.
He's going to do it right now. He's inside right now.
I know.
Watch. He's going to do it right now.
It's not enough.
He's hitting the button.
He never does pod changes.
The thing, if it was possible, because I've missed it.
It's because you're so discouraging. If you were more encouraging, he would.
Yeah,
he would definitely.
Just build me up. Can't you just build me up?
It's all on me. Yeah.
You know what? I could do it. I might do it this way. Actually, I might just skip Wissa this week. I can do Jackson out, Sarr out, Mbumo in, Gakpo in.
Oh, yeah. There's nothing wrong with that.
I didn't think I had enough on the sale, on the Jackson sale, to turn Sarr into Mbumo, but I do.
All right, there you go. That. Make it happen.
That's a good move.
Go ahead, Sweetness.
And it would still be, it's going to be solid.
Okay.
I can't imagine why I wouldn't.
All right, very good.
But I don't hate the Palmer move. I mean, how could you hate Isak at this point as a captain?
Can't.
Seems like an obvious,
He's the guy.
obvious captain. So, yeah.
All right.
I think
very
that's
good. All right. FPL America Podcast League update. I used to be in the top 5. Then I had 3 bad match weeks in a row. And now I'm down to 12th. But no one cares about that because we're here to read off the top 5. All right. Brett's Ballers League. Brett turned in a 49 this week. Has a total of 1433. That's awesome. Ciao Mazio League. Dan, he's been hanging around. He turned in a massive 66 this week. Well done. In fact, that's so good. I got to look at that team real quick. He captained Salah.
Oh, nice.
But had Foden, Gahey, Robinson, and Ina anchoring his team, and Chris Wood. So that's where he cashed in his team.
Good job.
I should just I almost did kind of copy his team. We have a lot of. He got Foden's 19 as well. Nice. Golly Moses, I literally will never catch him. We almost have the exact current same team. Swear on my life, League Dan, I did not copy your team on my wild card. Win beneath timings. League Max is in 3rd place with a 14-15. SOL FC with a sign. He literally did the symbols out in it, which is pretty impressive. 413 in 4th place, League Glenn. And then Allison Wonderland, League Michelle, must be a Liverpool fan, turned in a 43 this week, has a total of 1406 in 5th place. Sorry, League Connor. Honorable mention, you're in 6th place. The Tractor Boys are back. Dropped to 6th place. That's who I got to catch. League Connor. Daggone it. He's got me by about 15 points. I'm coming back, League Connor. I had a couple bad weeks, but chasing you down. All right. That's the league update, Travis.
You got it.
Good job, top of the league.
All right, gentlemen, awesome podcast. Thank you for everyone who is still listening to this, for listening to all the nonsense and all the amazing advice that we gave out. Hopefully it helps you this week for the FPL America podcast. This is David Smith. Until next time.